What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Danny Beal Show. Today we had on Carter Cunningham, 2024 AAC Player of the Year, or Homers That Help founder. Great conversation. It was a lot of his relationship with Christ, some stories about, obviously, our time together on the team, his recruiting story, all that stuff. It was a great conversation. Hope you guys enjoy it. Today, joining the inaugural episode of Danny Beal's new podcast, very special guest today. 2024 AAC Player of the Year, Homers That Help founder, beloved Pirate, my roommate.
We're not doing this.
Carter Cunningham. Woo! Welcome to it, buddy.
Appreciate you having me on as your first guest.
Of course.
I got to give you that.
Yeah, I picked you over Trey, so it's a special honor.
Yeah. He might have a couple more $1 million than me.
Yeah, well, hey, you and us combined. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. But what's going on? How you been?
Pretty good. I just hanging out in Greenville for I guess I'll be here through February. Training, doing some off-season stuff, working at Young's Physical Therapy.
How's that going?
It's good. It's
good. Best scheduler in town.
That's right. If you need a physical therapy appointment booked, I'm your guy.
Yeah, you're taking calls all day long, and a lot of voicemails left by this guy.
Oh, a lot of voicemails.
Yeah. But today we're just gonna have you on, tell some stories, kind of reflect on our time together, your entire journey, honestly, because you've been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, met a lot of people, done a lot of stuff. So I guess just start from the beginning. Growing up in Virginia, obviously with the Agnos, is having a great relationship with them. That's how you kind of got here and got recruited here in the first place. But take us back to little Carter. What do you think about Virginia and your childhood?
Growing up in Haymarket, Virginia, it was actually it was an awesome place to grow up. I moved there from California when I was in second grade, and I walk into my second grade class, and there's literally the only seat open is next to Zach, and I was just sat down next to Zach. Not apparently, his best friend at the time had just moved to London, a week before I got there.
Really, I didn't even know that.
So his spot was open. Sit down right next to Zach, and then from there, I mean, it kind of just, our families got really close, and our older brothers became friends, and our parents they became friends, and from there, I was just one of the Agnoses, and Zach was a Cunningham, and so that's sort of where it started. And then whatever sport Zach was doing, I just wanted to do with him, and so we played every sport together growing up. He never got into hockey. I was into hockey, but couldn't get him into that. And then I played middle school ball with him, played high school ball with him. I was very not good in high school.
At baseball?
Not until my senior year. I was the smallest kid on the team growing up, and
which, if you look at him now, you wouldn't think that. I mean, I guess a late bloomer.
Yeah, it was my junior year is when I hit my growth spurt.
Yeah.
So, but at that time, all the D1 schools had already done their recruiting.
Sure.
And so, I'll never forget meeting Coach Godwin after I was at Gardner-Webb.
It's because what Zach got there in fall of 19.
Yep.
And you were, so how did you meet Coach Godwin initially? Just because of Zach?
It was through the entire Agnos family. It was, I just had left Gardner-Webb. I think I was down here helping Zach move out stuff from COVID after his season got cut short. And Coach Godwin had seen me play in high school because we were on the same travel team. But I wasn't getting recruited by ECU.
Yeah,
clearly, just the player that I was. And I came back moving stuff out with Zach's parents, and then Nico's like, yeah, get out of the car. I want you to meet somebody. And,
oh God, I bet that was intimidating.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, in the backseat, like my heart was racing. And then I met Coach Godwin at the field, and he like couldn't believe that it was me because he saw me in high school. He saw me.
Yeah, it's like that is not the same person. I don't know what they fed you at Gardner Webb, but
yeah. And so that's sort of like I guess how it started. That's how like the connection with ECU for me got started. Obviously, Jake pitched here,
right?
And I would go to some of his games and watch him pitch on a Friday night, and I'm like, this is definitely my dream school if I could ever get a chance to play in front of 6,000 Pirate fans. So once that, I mean, that was like the original seed that was planted, was just seeing Jake pitch.
Yeah.
And then it was definitely a dream come true getting to play for the Purple and Gold.
Sure. But, I mean, even before that, I mean, you obviously went to Gardner Webb out of high school, freshman year there. Then you go on to a JUCO in Florida with the Bucks. And then all of a sudden it's like 2022, fall of 2021, spring season of 2022. It's like, here comes Carter. And obviously we'd heard a lot about Zach and the whole Barter Bunningham thing. And we just knew that you were best friends with Zach. And it's like, all right, he'll fit in great because Zach's obviously, as everybody very well know, huge personality.
Yep.
But coming in as a fresh body, as a new guy, obviously pretty much only knowing Zach and maybe a couple other guys, what was that first fall like?
I mean, I had a blast. It was the transition, I would say, was pretty easy just because of the culture that we have here. Definitely, I think I was probably like a unique transfer, for a newcomer because I had the experience with Zach already. It was like just having him there for me was very comfortable, I guess. And then so yeah, that first fall was awesome. I had a really good fall that fall.
Oh, I remember.
And I was like, maybe I can do this. And then started like the first 10, 15 games in the spring, and I'm like, this isn't that bad. And then it was just straight downhill for me. But then I tell the story of like my favorite moment at ECU ever was literally the Texas Super Regional.
Oh yeah.
Just because I mean the place was never louder. I still get goosebumps just thinking about that because even though like I had like my role on that team was so small.
Hey, you were the quad. You had the belt the entire weekend, brother. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I still think just that weekend, that moment was my favorite of my ECU career, despite me not even like being a factor on that team because it was, it was just crazy. It was a crazy weekend, and that was by far my favorite moment at ECU.
No, I mean, I was going to ask you that later. That was going to be one of the closing questions. Was what was like your one? If you had one lasting memory to reflect on your 3 years, what would it be? And it was, I think, Texas. Even if it didn't go well for us, it's the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Like that atmosphere, I don't think will ever be matched. Just because you see the Longhorn logo on the scoreboard pregame, you know the history behind it all. It's the first Super Regional ever hosted on campus. Like it's a big deal, and we were the hottest team in the country going into that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had won before that Sunday Coastal game in the regional, 20 some odd straight. I think it was 20 on the dot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
20
20
straight games.
Yep.
And it's like some stuff like that doesn't happen very often. But one memory that I do have of you is when we were playing Bryant, and obviously that didn't start great as it was, but Saylor pitched that Friday night because the whole Carson situation the week before. And you led off opening day, if you remember that. Do you remember what you did in your first at bat?
Was that leadoff or two-hole?
It was.
I think it was leadoff.
I think do you remember what you did in your first at bat?
It was
though?
A trip off the wall.
Yeah. And I remember it was. I don't know why this is so vivid in my memory, but you like head for like a classic like star like Riley Johnson head first slide, get up, pop up, and just erupt right at our dugout. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna win it all this year. That was like the first thing I thought of. I was like, yep, all right, we got this guy, we're good.
Yeah,
but it was just so funny.
That moment, I was like, bro.
I'm
him.
Yeah, hit me. It's hit me. It's
literally just for me that year. Like my performance after that was just that was like the peak for me.
After that hit, and after that, literally that hit, the entire weekend and the entire season went.
For me personally, team wise, it was like that team was just incredible. Yeah. I mean, that was. I think if I had to pick one moment out of my ECU career, that weekend. But I don't even know. I want to say it might have been the second game of the series. It was a day game, so I think it was the second game. Like there was a purple gold chant going, and
you're about the Texas series.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in between like the purple, it was like dead silent.
Oh,
like
you
it was
could hear a
literally
pin
like
drop.
you could hear a
I'm
pin
getting
drop.
chills thinking about it.
But then there was like gold, and it was like so loud, and then it would go silent, and I was like that. Like I was just in the dugout looking. I was like, this place is sick.
And it's like, it's one of those things where you try to, especially with the new guys and transfers and freshmen over time, you try to be like, dude, that is the peak. That is what you're gonna get every single regional, and it's close. But I'm telling you, it will never. I mean, they say it was 6,000. We're staring down the barrel like 8,500, 9,000 people at those games, especially game 2.
Yeah,
because I mean, we were 7 outs away, whatever. I don't, never mind. Don't even want to get into it. But after that year, obviously super emotional. Guys leaving, Zach leaves, and you had a big decision to make going into that offseason.
Yeah, I technically I was in the portal for like
and a lot of people don't know that.
No, a lot of people forget about that. But I was just the nature of the business of baseball.
Yeah.
There were some decisions that had to be made, and I felt like I had to leave. I didn't want to leave by any means. It was just, like I said, the business of the game. And then Coach Godwin calls me back a couple hours later, and he's like, just give me a day. Don't do anything stupid. And he comes back to me like 24 hours later, and we're able to figure some things out. And I mean, the Lord just, I don't know. He works in mysterious ways. And yeah, I mean, after that first season, if you were to tell me like I would actually still be here and actually be like a relevant player on the team, I'd be like, you're crazy. So, yeah, it was that was just a funny time. Like,
it's just crazy to think about looking back because of all the stuff you've done here and the fact that you were like a couple of days from leaving. None of this would have happened. Homers That Help wouldn't have happened. FCA wouldn't have happened. All the baptisms wouldn't have happened. So much stuff would not. So many great things in this community. Nonetheless, the baseball would not have happened had you. I mean, Coach Godwin not called you back that day. Like, you probably aren't here right now.
Yeah,
just crazy to think about.
No, I know. I mean, that's a God thing for sure. I mean, I thank him every day that he kept me here and that I was able to be a Pirate. So
you mentioned Coach Godwin, and obviously we all have a great relationship with him. I was talking to him a couple of days ago about the press conference after Evansville on that Monday and how he still can't watch it and how he still thinks about it, and how he was saying how the Evansville coach was on some D1 baseball talk thing a couple of days ago and how he listened to some of them and he's just like wanted to claw his eyes out. But talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Godwin. Obviously, that whole interaction when you were in the portal was huge, keeping you here. But since then, with your relationship with Christ, his evolving, as a lot of people do know. But talk a little bit about your relationship with him.
Yeah, that from when I started to where I am now with my relationship with Coach Godwin was.
I think a lot of people could say that.
Yeah, no, I mean honestly, it was a 180. I mean, I literally, what's today? Wednesday, Monday, I was sitting in the coach's Bible study, and if you were to tell me my first fall here that I would a couple years later be sitting in on the coach's Bible study, one that the coaches would even have a Bible study,
I'd be kidding, like, right?
Yeah, you're crazy. And so, yeah, I mean, just literally my first year, like I literally remember like mid-season, I'm in pitcher hitter because. You know, I'm not getting at bats.
Absolutely, yeah. I was probably right there. I was probably throwing to you now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, like, there was, like, this one pitcher hitter, and, like, I don't know, I'm, like, struggling. We're, like, moving my hands all over the place in my swing, and I'm just, like, so frustrated and so, like, upset at, like, the way I was performing. And, like, I was honestly, like, I think I was just, like, mad at him. And I just went home just so mad, and I was, like, you know, I just was like, I was hating it. I was like, I can't stand it. And I can't stand him. And I'm like, having that thought that I ever even thought that to where we are now was crazy. Because if there's one thing that I'm like most grateful for in my time at ECU, it is Coach Godwin because of the relationship that we have now. And I just couldn't see that my first fall or my first year here, really. But
this episode is brought to you by Taylor's Forklift in Greenville, North Carolina. Your one-stop shop for everything forklifts. They offer new and used forklifts, floor scrubbers, scissor lifts, telehandlers, all-terrain lifts, and much more. With a full-service parts and rental department, they offer on-site service and repairs as well as rentals. With over 100 lifts in stock, They are sure to have a lift to fit your needs. Free delivery and warranty on every sale as well. Call, click, or stop by today. Go Pirates.
If there's one thing that also, like, I wish people would understand about Coach Godwin is, like, he truly does care more about his players than any win or loss that he's ever had. And maybe, like, a couple years ago, we might not have been able to say that.
No, not at all.
But the transformation that Coach Godwin has had and the work that Christ has done in his life, like, you really have to see it to believe it. Because, I mean, even just talking to Zach sometimes, I'm like, Zach, this is like a different guy than when you played for him.
And it's crazy because he's only been gone 2 years. It's been such a quick transformation. And obviously people can't really see it because you're not with him on the day-to-day. But, like, he'll even tell you it is a complete 180 from the way he used to be in terms of how much he has grown in his faith. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's the one thing I wish, like, his former players could see now, or just anybody. Like, you really got to see it, like, in person. Like, and he is very vocal and he'll tweet out some Bible verses or put some on Instagram, which is great. But, like, until you really, like, see him in person and, like, see the change of heart that he's had, like, it's tough to believe. Like, if you were to tell me that stuff and I wasn't here to witness it, I probably wouldn't believe it.
No, I mean, how could you? Because, I mean, and he'll admit it. I mean, before it was, if we don't win, I'm in a terrible mood for the rest of the week. And it was all about win, win, win. We need to get to Omaha. We need to, knock the door down, retire 23, the whole deal. But I think he has understood over the last couple of years. And I think that your first year, 2022, was a big stepping stone for him in terms of realizing, like, there's a bigger purpose behind all this. Like, it's not just winning and going to Omaha.
Yep.
It is serving people and making people around me better and caring about the person rather than the baseball player more.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, as I said in that post-game presser, like, we didn't even talk baseball last year. Like,
no, I mean, that was, no, you're right.
Whenever I was in his office, he was asking about my family. He was asking about my faith. We were talking anything but baseball. And that, like, to have a relationship like that with a coach is pretty special.
And that was what was so cool, I think, about the leadership group we had was, I mean, it was a group of 12, 14 of us that would literally meet once a week. And it was just Rosebud Thorn, what you been up to this week? How's your family doing? Like, and people would just talk if you could talk as little or as much as you want about what had been going on in your life. It was never like, hey, make sure you don't throw that ball away on that PFP. Hey, why'd you strike out right there? Like, all this. And it was, sure, I mean, you're going to talk baseball eventually because that's what you're all there for. But at the end of the day, it was more about, hey, let's take a step back and just relax and hang out for a little bit just to kind of get away from it all. But I think that was huge.
Yeah.
But over your 3 years, we mentioned it a little bit. I mean, Player of the Year, Hemi, that was pretty cool. FCA, obviously the 10 baptisms, or I think wasn't it 10? I think it was 10 before the season started. Homers that help, obviously. I mean, you've done not only great things on the field because, I mean, you were, I don't think it's a secret, like our best position player last year. I don't think it was by a landslide, but
Riley Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson or JC, whatever. But more so in the community, and you mentioned your relationship with Christ and how much that has grown. Talk a little bit about how over time it's grown specifically here. And obviously you talk about the stuff we've done with Webb Tyndall, Todd Howell, and how great they've been to us in the community with, us helping us grow in our faith, not only, but other people too. And so just talk a little bit about that with Sportsworks and other stuff and how it all kind of came together in your relationship with him.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to pinpoint like a specific happening in my life, but I would say the biggest thing that happened in my life was probably joining a small group last August. At first, it was just Todd Howell, Mike Wilson, and Brian Sutton, and Leonard Polk. He used to be a football player here. I love Leonard. He's the man. He doesn't. You notice like he doesn't say a lot.
No, but when he listens. But everybody's like,
yeah. When he does, I'm like on the edge of my seat. Like he's about to drop some wisdom here.
Yeah, literally.
It was just like us to begin, and then Charlie gets back on campus, and then I bring him, and then now this year it's like a bunch of baseball players and still some of those guys. So joining that small group, I'd say for sure was really just like the pinnacle. And I think that's why I'm such a big advocate and big believer in small groups now, is because I've seen the effect that it's had on my life. And if I could just recommend one thing for anybody out there, anybody new in their faith or trying to get, closer to God, like, and I was listening to a podcast that said this, it's like, you want to get close to God, get close to his people. And
Sure.
that makes a ton of sense to me, at least. I'm just like, only reason that I really got this close to God was because I was surrounded by like a lot of strong Christian mentors. And Webb Tyndall is, I mean, he is my mentor. Like, he'd always
And
be
you
like,
joke with him about it, and he gets mad. He's like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, he always was like, "Yeah, man, you got to find a mentor." And
It's
I'm like,
Webb,
Webb,
it's you.
it is literally you. And he's like, "No, you got to find a real one." And I'm like, "You are a real one."
Yeah.
And so just having those guys in my life, I mean, I guess that's like the biggest. That's sort of where it started. That's where it got. Because I started FCA, or Charlie and I started FCA here,
Right.
and I was wearing the cross, but I was not. I mean, my actions and my words and my thoughts, like they just weren't aligning with what a true Christian looks like. And so,
What made that big change with you? Obviously, you said you started it, and at the time, initially, it was you're talking the talk, but you're not necessarily doing the things you're preaching. What was the big change? Again, it doesn't have to necessarily be a pinpoint, but over time, clearly made a big change.
Yeah, no, it was probably last fall. Like, it took me literally up until last fall to really kind of make that change. And I was sitting in Bible study one morning with those guys, and Charlie and I were sitting there, and I don't know, for like weeks we had just been talking about sin, and the guys in the group, like the older guys in the group, thought like Charlie and I were like these like saints, like.
You can do no wrong kind of guys.
Literally.
Yeah.
And like we'd get back in the car like on our drive home from Bible study, and we're like, just like, bro, we aren't. Like, we're not. Like, they don't even know, like, they don't know what we do on the weekends. Like,
Yeah.
And that was like, it was just getting to the point where like it was hard to look myself in the mirror and be like, I'm saying one thing and I'm doing another, and I had just had enough. And so one morning I told the guys, I'm like, we're not who we think, how am I trying to word that? We're not who we think.
We are not who you guys think we are.
Yes.
There you go.
And from that point on, like they really truly held me accountable. And that's not to say like I won't, I'll go have a couple beers with some of the guys, but like I was going out Friday, Saturday. I was, out till 2 a.m. or whatever, and showing up to the field the next day. And I'm like trying to lead people to Christ. And I was just out with them, and I'm like, that literally, you're like, Carter, you're a hypocrite. And so, that was sort of the turning point in my life. And, I mean, like I said, I don't condemn, I don't judge, but that was like, for me, I was just like, I gotta, God has clearly called me to something bigger than just going out with these guys. And, had to make that change. And I'm glad he made that change in me.
Over time, especially last year too. I mean, we really. I mean, I don't want to say we, because it was a lot of you and Charlie, and especially organizing the baptisms was huge with Jamin and Webb. But you guys really rallied the troops in terms of starting the Bible study. I mean, we're wearing Bible verses on our wristbands when we're playing, like the discipline equals freedom thing with our motto and stuff. Like, how important was that to you, especially after you found a newfound faith last fall, to really get everybody in on it over the course of last year? I mean, we're having Bible studies on the road. Coach Godwin's dad's with us doing it, and it's a very big impact. Not only impacting your teammates and your players, but there's kids that are watching us in the jungle that are like, now I want, like, if they're doing it, I want to do it. Yeah. So they're obviously gonna, like, they're starting to read the Bible. They're doing all this stuff. So what kind of impact do you think, honestly, you made over time with doing all that stuff with us?
It's a good question. I think. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's tough to see the fruit that you bear. And I mean, I think like Parker Bird's a great example. Like, he doesn't even know like the amount of lives he's truly impacting. No. And I mean, I don't know that number either, but I know it's a ton. And that's just what God calls us to do. I mean, I think the last thing that Jesus said on the cross was, go and make disciples of all the nations. And the way to do that is you just got to live it out. And I mean, we literally were talking about this yesterday in Bible study about not like keeping it in, but actually, like, if you have it, share it.
Yeah.
And so I think the transformation that's happened in my life, the reason I am so vocal about it is because I just want everybody else to have it.
Yeah, you're passionate about it, sure.
And I really like I don't boast about it. Like I'm not like boastful in any way of like I'm a Christ follower. I'm like a good Christ follower. It's not that. It's literally like I have it, and I literally just want you to have it. That's it. Like
I've seen how great it is, and I want you to get some. Literally,
that's literally it. And I don't like I don't mean that in a boastful way by any means. And so that's yeah. I mean that's just where the Lord's kind of led me more recently.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Curtis Construction. Since 1960, they've been dedicated to servicing commercial roofs with an unwavering commitment to quality, integrity, and service excellence. Curtis Construction offers a range of services including roof replacements, restoration, repairs, preventative maintenance, inspections, and emergency services. Whether you need a reliable roof provider or want to learn more about the trade, visit curtiscc.com or give them a call at 252-523-1078. For sure. I mean, you've obviously still done a lot of things and recently too with the Bible studies and stuff like that, but how big of a part was his guidance, especially going into last spring? Because if there's a podcast out there that Coach Godwin was on that he was talking about how you came into his office before winter break last year and was like, God has called me to do something, and just in the community, I don't know what it is yet, it's something. And obviously the whole Homers That Help thing was massive for the Children's Hospital, us going over there a ton, raising money for how many home runs we hit, which was quite a few if you tally it up at the end. And obviously you had a great year, and so did a bunch of other guys, which was awesome. But how big was his guidance in leading you to end up deciding, hey, this is the path I want to take with helping out the community in the hospital?
Yeah, that was all God. Because if you think like I could have done that, you're literally crazy. Like I'm just not even smart enough to like think of that. Right. So the fact that happened it was all God. And I remember like, I think it was like a month in, like people were like coming up to me like, did you start it? And I'd be like, yeah, I started it. And then I'm like, it wasn't even me though. Like, why am I saying I? Because it wasn't like if I could emphasize anything, like it truly wasn't me. Like it truly was God. And I was just the arms and the legs. Like that's truly like, that's it. Like he gave me the plan. He gave me what to do. He gave me the resources, and all I had to do was execute it. And, it wasn't like, it's not my foundation. It truly is God's, and his, like you said, his guidance just sort of took it that way. Yeah.
And the best part is it's going to keep going, right? This next couple coming year, who's going to be the leader of it this year?
Yeah. We got Parker Bird, Jason Janesco, Dixon Williams. Those guys are going to take it. They're going to run with it. We actually just had a meeting on Monday about it. They got some really cool stuff planned. I'm actually really excited to see where Parker takes it. He's probably going to far surpass the goal of 50,000. He's probably going to blow it out of the water, knowing Parker, which is awesome. I don't think I could have, I guess, given it to another player, because Parker's incredible.
Yeah, no, obviously Parker's done so many great things in the community, and this is only going to heighten his impact on everybody. But switching gears a little bit, I guess, you're a Blue Jay.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Canada?
No.
Really?
Never been.
I feel like you're such a big hockey guy.
Yeah, I got my passport like right before the draft too, just because I was going on vacation out of the country. And then I ended up getting drafted by a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it for sure. I mean, how much you love pucks on net. I mean, I would have thought. I don't know. Maybe that.
Nah.
But how cool was that? Obviously, the day you get drafted is super special. What was that like, being with your family? I'm assuming, and just what was the adrenaline rush that you gave? It was like, all right, I just got signed to play professional baseball.
Yeah, that was actually, it was just a dream come true. Like it truly was. Like I remember hearing my name called, and it was like all of like.
So there's another Carter Cunningham, right? There's no way it's me. Yeah.
All of the like memories started like just replaying in my mind.
Yeah.
All the way from T-ball to like middle school, like all these highlights literally just like were replaying in my mind, and then it was pretty surreal, and it was pretty like it's kind of like a anticlimactic experience, because I was on a cruise.
You were on the cruise when it.
Yeah,
I was no way.
I was in Bermuda with my girlfriend and her family, And at that, I mean, yeah, it was day 2. Her her family had like this big excursion planned.
Oh no!
And I'm like, I can't go. Like I really
have
can't.
to be on
This
my
is
phone,
like the
yeah.
one phone call that I can't miss. So they all went, and I was literally just sitting in my room all day by myself.
I was about to say, Kenzie didn't stay back.
No,
I you
told
were
her,
alone.
I told her not to. I was
yeah,
like,
I guess. Yeah,
I mean,
that makes sense.
Go experience, because I was like, there's also no guarantee. Like,
Yeah,
I have
you
no
could not
idea.
get there. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
I have I could be like, I could have to be in the room tomorrow, like, because I was the 10th round, so the very end of day.
It was.
2,
I was about to say,
like,
it's the last round, right?
Yeah, so I was like,
no.
I was kind of like, I hope I go day 2. That way, I can like go explore Bermuda tomorrow.
Right.
And so they had just gotten back from their excursion. It's like I was literally just in my room all day, pretty silent up until the 8th round, and I was getting some calls like around there. Like that's when it kind of picked up. My agent started calling me, and then like my girlfriend's sister's boyfriend, his name's Asa. He like walks in the room, like, because we were sharing a room, and it's like the start of the 10th round, and he's like, "How's it going?" He's like, Did you get drafted? And I'm like,
I'm
like, no, I didn't. And I was like, and then like as soon as he walks in, really like that's when it really starts to pick up, and then like just teams were calling me, my agent's calling me back and forth, and he's like just sitting right there.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine, dude.
And then yeah, and then I literally just had it pulled up I had the draft pulled up on my laptop, and we were just, me and Asa were just sitting there, and we hear my name called. It was just funny. Like,
what a moment! You and your girlfriend's sister's boyfriend just hanging out.
Literally. And like it happened. They said my name, and I was like, we were just like high five. Like that was literally it. And then we like, I don't know, we like go out and like we're just walking around the cruise ship, and like the biggest moment of my life probably just happened. And
you probably don't know how to act. You're like, I don't even like. This is so exciting. You literally, it's the definition of I don't know what to do with my hands right now. It's like you literally had no. Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like walking around and like just looking around, and like people like obviously they have no idea what just happened, but I'm just like just looking around, and I'm like on cloud 9, and people are just living their own lives. You know, they're literally they don't care. Like they don't know anything. So it was a unique experience, but by far it was really cool. And then like the next day I was able to go explore Bermuda. So
not a bad couple of days for you.
No, it was a great week for sure.
I remember. So for people that remember these names, obviously Cam Conch and I lived together for 4 years practically, and then Tyler Brott was our roommate after 2023, and he got drafted after that year to the Cardinals in I think the 16th round or somewhere around there. But I remember we had just got back from working camp that day, and it's literally me. It's like watching a theater. It was me and Cam, and we're watching Tyler pace back and forth in the living room, watching him take calls from all these teams and his agent and stuff. And I'm like, I can't even imagine, nonetheless on a cruise ship, how stressful that could have been between what you said, out rounds 8 to 10. Like that's just, I mean, your blood's gonna be.
Yeah, it was like, and plus I was like worried about the service. Like,
sure, yeah.
I had been making some calls earlier in the week, like on the cruise ship, and they were cutting out. And I was like, if this happens during the draft, I'm going to be so mad. And then, thank God it didn't happen because it was a cool experience.
Tiebreakers is open every day at 11 a.m. and is the best place to watch your favorite sports while enjoying the best wings in town, sandwiches, appetizers, cold beer, and more. Follow Tiebreakers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates. Tiebreakers in Greenville at Bells Fork on Greenville Boulevard and in downtown Winterville on Railroad Street. So after you got drafted, you've been to Dunedin quite a bit, stayed down there a lot. How's essentially what, the 3-4 months you were down there? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. The Blue Jays are like, they're a first class organization, and their player development complexes, like, well, I guess there's like 2. There's like the spring training field, and then like 5 minutes down the road is their complex, like with the weight rooms and a bunch of practice fields and stuff. And both are like brand new. They're like 2 years old.
Do they share it with anyone or no? No, it's just standalone. That's pretty cool.
And literally anything that a baseball player could want or need to get better at is there at the facility. Yeah. And so that to me was like, I just saw significant jumps in my game, even though I did struggle. I think I played 20 games with the Dunedin Blue Jays. I struggled in those 20 games, but I learned so much about the game and about like my game.
But just being around people, I feel like it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, and that in itself was a cool experience. And then, just they gave me a plan to work on this offseason, and I'm going to attack that this offseason. But being down there for, that 3 months was, that was really cool.
There was one right when you got down there. I remember your dad put something on Twitter when you got assigned to the team, and he was like, Carter's first game's today, and guess who his new teammate is? And it was a picture of Joey Votto.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no, because that was a couple, I guess, realistically, a couple weeks or maybe a month before he retired.
Yeah.
So it was just like, of all people, I mean, he's pretty good in his own right.
Yeah, I missed him by like 2 weeks, I think, which kind of sucked because like that was like one of my favorite players growing up. Yeah. I was definitely gonna fanboy over him if I got the chance.
Can I get a ball?
Yeah, but apparently like he was like taking the guys out to like steak dinner. Like he took the entire team out to like a steakhouse.
I mean, he's got the money for it, sure, but
apparently he was like a great guy.
That's
great
awesome
guy to have around. So I missed him by 2 weeks, but. Yeah, that was cool.
I had always heard that he was a great personality, and I saw that your dad's a great Twitter follow to begin with. Nonetheless, spitting out facts like that, and I'm like, that's so cool. Yeah. But obviously, I mean, you said with the facilities and it being incredible down there, and them being so close together, not sharing it with anyone is huge too. Just because you all get your own stuff, and you and Trey being down there together, did you guys interact at all while you were down there, or was it just kind of you're with the position players and he's with the pitchers, and you guys just kind of walk by and say hey or something like that?
I didn't really see Trey up until, I guess, my season ended because Trey wasn't assigned to the team because he threw so many innings at ECU. So he was at the complex, at the player development complex. I was at our field, and I never had to go back over to the complex ever because the field was brand new. We had like a weight room there. We had a kitchen there. So I didn't really get to see Trey at all up until the end of our season. I was back at the complex for like 2 weeks once our season ended. And we were roommates there, of course. And then,
of course, you guys were.
Can't get rid of him. And then, I mean, he shipped his truck down there, so I would just get rides with him to the field. Thanks, Trey. Yeah. And then, once we were at the field, we didn't really see each other too much. The position players were sort of doing their own thing, and he was, how pitchers, they
literally do nothing all day.
Yeah, they just throw like a couple baseballs and then they go home.
Especially when you're a first rounder and you get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I mean, he was there for nothing. Never mind.
I know it's funny because I was leading into that because it was funny because we were obviously me, Trey, and Carter are all roommates in Greenville now, and this was all during the time they were down there. We were trying to correlate, trying to live together.
Yep.
And we had a group chat, and I would text in there because I was at home, obviously doing nothing, just working out, training and stuff. And they're down there working out, and I would send a text at like 8 in the morning. No response. Trey would respond around like 10:30, 12. He's like, yeah, I just finished up, about to go get some lunch, maybe do some mobility later. Carter would text back at like 4:30, like, yeah, just finished my 9-hour day at the field. Yeah. And then we'll see Trey text it back, and it's like, oh, hope you had a good workout, buddy. Yeah. And it's just it's so funny how different the workout plans are.
When we were roommates, he would literally and there was a point where he wasn't even throwing. Like he would just show up to the field to like get a lift in and go home. Like he would
just rub it in your face.
Yeah, he would be home by 11, and I'd literally get home at like 4, and I'm like, what have you done today? And he's like, he's just sitting on the couch, and he's like, just this.
Yeah, literally been watching First Take and Pat McAfee show all day long.
Yeah, I was like, thanks, Trey.
And you mentioned the facilities. How much? I don't mean this ugly. How big of a difference is the training, the nutrition, just the attention to detail in professional ball as opposed to? I mean, you were at 3 different college programs, so I mean, you got a pretty good grasp of what it's like at pretty much every level. How different is it as a professional as it is to being an amateur?
It's really, I mean, the biggest difference I see is it's now this is my job. So nutrition matters, sleep matters, hydration. It's literally when I'm lifting, I'm getting paid.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah.
If I'm in the cages, I'm getting paid. That is my job now. And so college is just really hard to have an individualized plan. You're part of a team for a couple months at a time, and you got 40 guys around you. Especially at a program like ECU, you're so bought into the culture.
Team.
For
sure. Yep.
And then you got class on top of that. You have you got home. You got to go home and do homework. You got these long days at the field where it's hard to get meals in.
Sure.
So now it's what's cool about it. It's it is my job. it's the dream job. And yeah, I mean, I everything matters. Like my meals matter, my sleep matters, my hydration matters, the supplements that I'm taking, like it all plays a factor in it.
And I feel like nobody, as opposed to college where, especially as a freshman, you're getting pushed to do stuff. It's like, hey, you're supposed to go do mobility after working out. You're supposed to go throw and do post-throw stuff. Like in pro ball, they give it to you and they offer it to you, but they're not going to hold your hand and tell you to do stuff. It's like you either do it or you get fired. Like there's no in between, I feel like.
No, I mean, and that's where, I mean, I think like playing at a program like ECU that instills so much discipline in your life is
for sure.
Is
I think that's what prepared you guys so well.
Yeah. I mean, I get there and I'm just disciplined in my routines and in my day to day, that when I am by myself in Florida, like it doesn't really matter because I know I've been there before. I know what to do because of a school like ECU.
I mean, they've done Coach Godwin even from the first day you get here, whether you're a freshman or a transfer, and Blake was tremendous in helping out with it, like the mental game, the daily schedules, the every other part of it where you have your entire day planned out and you know what you are doing from when you wake up to go to bed, and being mentally tough and all this stuff that we preach. And some people get it and some people don't. The ones that don't aren't here anymore, but it prepares you not only for baseball, but I feel like life in general is so much easier because you have such a good grasp on your processes and your day to day and all that other stuff.
I would agree with that. Like just literally, you can take baseball out of it. Just the life lessons you learn here is like, you're going to be fine one day.
This episode's also brought to you by Todd Howell at Kaufman's. Todd's a great guy. He's always been so good to me and Carter, as you heard on the episode. Go ahead and see him if you wanted some winter gear, some fall gear at the end of it. He does a great job over there selling you stuff. Go ahead and see him. I know we kind of brought it up earlier and you mentioned Texas, but is there any other moment or story or funny moment, it could be anything, that it is, hey, you played baseball at East Carolina? Yeah, let me tell you this story. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Nah, that's a good question.
Because there's a lot. I mean,
there's like too much, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Some we can't tell on the air, but
it's just like, I don't know. I think like a lot of the fun memories and times like happen in like hotel rooms or like bus rides or like there's not like one specific like memory. Like there's so many non-baseball memories that I can think of, like just hanging out with the guys alone. Like you get so many stories from that like baseball is such a small part of like ECU. Like baseball was such a small part of my ECU career because of all the things and all the people that surrounded me here. That like it's tough to pinpoint like one specific thing. I mean, I don't know. I think always like the ring ceremonies it's coming up this weekend.
Like
awesome. That, I mean, the past 2 years that weekend is like, it's awesome to get rewarded for all your hard work.
Sure.
And then all the guys come back and like
it's a reunion.
It's
awesome.
It's just a great weekend. And I mean, those weekends are always fun to me because you see former players, you see, current players, you see everybody. And by the way, like you're getting a pretty cool ring too. So,
and it's always nice to be embraced by the fans too. Cause you hear, I mean, Clark LeClaire has 6, 7 tops on a regular basis. I mean, if it's a good crowd, you're pushing 30, 40, 50,000 people. Yeah. And you're walking out and all the attention's on you. And it's like, you finally get to appreciate not just the stadium, but the entire community appreciates you.
Yeah. It's, those are really cool moments.
Yeah, for sure. So what you got going on lately? Anything that you want to talk about, promote, or anything like that?
Yeah, I am going to start at my own podcast.
Let's go. Welcome to the squad.
It's going to be like a faith-based podcast. I'm calling it the Just God Pod.
Awesome.
Finalizing some small last-minute details. What's today? October 23rd. I definitely want to have the first episode released by like November 1st. So
okay, cool. That'll be over by next week then.
Yeah,
next Friday.
About a week away. Just figuring out some last little details, and then I want to start that. And I got some cool guests lined up, just through the baseball community. But more importantly, I think I don't necessarily want it to be so. I don't want to bring on like too many baseball players. Like I'm big on hearing different perspectives. I think there's a lot more to life than just baseball.
And separating the two for sure, yeah.
And if I just keep bringing on 18 to 23-year-old male baseball players, like that's the audience is only going to be that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't want that. And so one of my mentors, Mike Aman, he's one of the best human beings ever. I asked him to be on it, like as my second or third guest, and he starts laughing and he's like, I can't do it, but I'll tell you what, my wife will do it. And so I'm working on to get Paige Aman on as my second or third guest, pending Coach Godwin. I think he might be my second one. So like having like Paige Aman on, which her story is phenomenal. Her testimony is incredible. That right there is like, that's how I think you can get different audiences involved.
Sure.
Like I said, don't just want just 18 to 23-year-old baseball players. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm sure that will be talked about.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's also part of it where you want to talk about the baseball. It's going to get brought up no matter who you bring on, just because of who's running the podcast. But there's more important stuff, and there's a bigger purpose behind it all, which I think will be well gravitated from by everybody.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. Be on the lookout for that. Like I said, just getting some last minute things figured out, and I'm looking forward to kicking that off.
It's going to be done well. He ordered a bunch of stuff off Amazon. He's got his whole room into a podcast studio, so it's going to be a good job, and job well done, as Carter Cunningham always does it. But thanks for coming on, buddy.
I appreciate you having me on again. Honored to be the first guest.
2024 AAC Player of the Year.
Sorry, Trey.
Homers that help. No. Founder. But yeah, hey Trey, this guy.
Is he coming on here?
Eventually, yeah. I think. We'll have to see. We'll see if he big leagues his own roommate.
He probably will.
Time will tell. All right. Thanks, Bart.
Yep. Appreciate it.
What's up, everybody? Hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Carter. Obviously, a lot of great stories hopefully you guys haven't heard and learned some new stuff about us. But it was a great interview. Always a great guy to hear from. And next time, we'll see who the guest is. But keep you guys on your toes. Mix it up a little bit. Maybe we'll get some baseball players, some other guys, coaches, fans. And can't wait. Look forward to the next show next week.